Ever dreamed of being a king or queen? Sat on a glorious throne, draped in velvet, a heavy crown on your head. It sounds like a fairy tale, right? Well, for many throughout history, that crown wasn't a symbol of power and luxury, but a death sentence. Forget the dragon-filled fantasies, the real Game of Thrones was far more brutal, and the prize was often an early grave. Today, we're pulling back the velvet curtain to reveal the terrifying reality of wearing the crown. Let's journey back to ancient Rome. Think of emperors like Caligula or Nero. Their names are synonymous with tyranny and madness, but their reigns were also shockingly short and ended violently. In what historians call the crisis of the 3rd century, a period of just 50 years saw at least 26 different emperors. Being named emperor during this time was like winning the world's most dangerous lottery. Of those 26, guess how many died of natural causes? Just 2. The rest assassinated. Poisoned by their own guards, stabbed by political rivals, or killed in battle by yet another usurper trying to claim the throne. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's own bodyguards, became kingmakers and kingbreakers, often auctioning the empire off to the highest bidder, only to murder him when a better offer came along. The very people sworn to protect you were the ones most likely to end you. Talk about a toxic work environment. Now, let's skip ahead to medieval England, the setting that inspired so many of our favorite fantasy epics. The Wars of the Roses, a brutal 30-year civil war between the houses of Lancaster and York, perfectly illustrates our point. It wasn't just about grand battles, it was a tangled web of betrayal, paranoia, and murder within the same family. Take King Henry VI, a gentle, pious man. He was completely unsuited for the vicious politics of his time. He was deposed not once, but twice, spent years imprisoned in the Tower of London, and was likely murdered there on the orders of his rival, Edward IV. But karma has a way of catching up. After Edward IV's death, his 2 young sons, Edward V and his brother Richard, were declared illegitimate by their own uncle, Richard III. The boys were locked in the Tower of London and then they vanished. The famous Princes in the Tower mystery remains unsolved, but few doubt they were murdered to secure their uncle's claim. And what happened to Richard III? He himself was killed at the Battle of Bosworth Field, becoming the last English king to die in combat. His crown, literally found hanging on a thorn bush, was placed on the head of the victor, Henry Tudor. One king falls, another rises, and the bloody cycle continues. It wasn't just a Western phenomenon. The Ottoman Empire had a practice that makes family dinners look tame. It was called fratricide. For centuries. When a new sultan ascended to the throne, one of his first acts was often to have all of his brothers and male relatives executed. This wasn't just a fit of paranoia, it was state policy, a brutal but effective way to prevent civil wars and succession crises. Imagine growing up as a prince, knowing that the day your father dies, your own brother will have you strangled with a silk bowstring to secure his power. Princes were kept in a gilded cage known as the caifs, living in luxurious confinement, but constantly under the shadow of the executioner. Sultan Mehmed III, for instance, had 19 of his brothers and half-brothers killed upon his accession. The crown didn't just mean power, it meant being the last brother standing. So, why would anyone want this job? The allure of ultimate power, of course. The chance to shape a nation, to build a legacy, to have your name echo through eternity. But this ambition came at a terrifying cost. Monarchs lived in a state of constant fear. They couldn't trust their family, their advisors, their guards, or even their food. Every meal could be poisoned, every handshake could hide a dagger, and every smiling courtier could be plotting their demise. The psychological toll must have been immense. This wasn't a life of luxury. It was a life sentence of paranoia, where the weight of the crown was matched only by the weight of the axe hanging over your head. This deadly game wasn't limited to men, either. Queens and female rulers faced a unique set of dangers. They had to navigate a world dominated by men who saw their gender as a weakness. Mary, Queen of Scots, spent nearly 20 years imprisoned by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I of England, before being executed. She was seen as a threat to Elizabeth's throne simply by existing. In China, Empress Wuxi, the only woman to ever rule in her own right, was ruthless because she had to be. She established a secret police force and eliminated countless rivals to hold on to power. For women, the crown was a double-edged sword. It gave them unprecedented authority, but also made them a target in a world that wasn't ready for them. Even the symbols of royalty were fraught with danger. The crown itself, often laden with priceless jewels, was a magnet for thieves and assassins. The scepter, a symbol of justice, could easily be used as a weapon. And the throne room, the very center of power, was often the stage for the most dramatic betrayals. It was a golden cage, where the ruler was both predator and prey, constantly watching their back, knowing that one moment of weakness could be their last. The truth is, the life of a historical monarch was less like a Disney movie and more like a high-stakes thriller where the main character rarely survives to the end credits. So, the next time you see a king or queen in a movie, adorned in splendor, remember the terrifying reality. Remember the Roman emperors who lasted only a few months, the English princes who vanished in the night, and the Ottoman brothers who were sacrificed for stability. The throne wasn't just a seat of power for many, it was the most dangerous chair in the world. The real Game of Thrones was played with lives, not just armies, and the ultimate price of wearing the crown was, all too often, death. Thanks so much for diving into the dark side of royalty with us today. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. Let us know in the comments which historical monarch story you find the most chilling. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.